Originally, we weren't going to review Rampage this week, but then there was a debut. I watched it almost live, a few minutes behind, and I told you I thought you needed to watch it. Everyone went crazy for it, so we ended up watching most of Rampage, at least, correct?
Well, yes, because I was going to watch one match, and then you made me watch another one, so I ended up watching two. But the one you were speaking of course, was the long-awaited debut. They sent Hook in. Hook came in to save the day. The wrestling debut of Taz's son, Hook. And I'm thinking, they introduce Sting, the man they call Sting, or the man they call Vader, or whatever. There's some preamble to some of these one-word name guys, right? I'm wondering if they should, here comes Hook. Like, you remember the Daredevil comics, the Marvel comics, Daredevil? Here comes Daredevil, the man without fear. It could be, here comes Hook, the man with weird hair.
What did they say? They did say, like, this is Hook, or they said something.
Well, they could say something else, is what I'm saying.
His hair, saying that. His hair and Jamie Hayter's hair. You watch them come to the ring and it bounces up and down. It puts you in a trance.
This hair is going to be the most over hair in the wrestling business. I think people have called it unfortunate in the past, an unfortunate head of hair, or just weird, or whatever, but the hair fits him perfectly. His opponent was Fago del Solo from Mobile, Alabama, the luchador from Mobile, Alabama. So obviously they wanted somebody that's athletic enough to do his shit and at the same time small enough that he could move him around and, whatever. But the spotlight was on Hook here. And I love this fucking kid. Because before, we have not seen him do enough to know whether he could do anything or not. And it kind of, was like just the rib, and there's Hook standing there doing nothing. But fuck, he's in great shape. But more importantly, he's got attitude, the facial expressions, and the way he comes off, when he's fucking healing the people. And he was heelish in his demeanor already. He's got some natural things I know Taz has been, obviously, I'm sure, training in him. He's been training with I'm sure, a bunch of different people, but he's got shit you can't really teach if his personality was a bag of wet fucking lettuce. And he just carried himself really good. And especially when he knew he was getting over and he knew he was doing well, he got a little extra, oomph in his, a little hitch in his get along there. But he does the judo throws. He's smooth with it. He's got a different kind of style than just everybody else. And a lot of it is his aggression. Even though he's green, he was aggressive, and he wasn't out there scared to say boo to a goose, as Adrian Street would say. And then finally he foiled old Fago's tornado DDT, hit him with a clothesline, hit him with that's I don't know what they call it, but it's the Tazplex thing that Taz used to use, right? Where he traps the kind of like a cobra sleeper and takes him over his head.
The Taz mission? No, that wasn't the Taz mission. There was something else that was the Taz mission.
Tazplex.
He was Tasmified, yes.
He was Tasmified. He needs work on those cross faces. Because as he stood over the guy and started cross-facing him, I think...
That was the only thing that missed, noticeably.
Well, one or two of them missed. One or two of them, the reason why may have been because the other two were live rounds, but it didn't look smooth. I don't know. But he needs a little work on that. But then he rear naked choked the guy and he fucking tapped out. It was great. And, I remember... God, it was a couple months ago. We were talking about you can't see, and I'm not saying this was the greatest debut in the history of pro wrestling, or it was like, Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, which obviously had more high-priced talent involved and a lot more, rehearsal, if you will. But I said on a show a few months ago, you never get to see anybody anymore that when you first see them, they're, oh, shit, wow, ho, like you used to before everything was recorded and put on the worldwide internet. You could always find somebody that would surprise you, that would, but in this case, they managed to do it because, if anything, from the way that he's just been hanging around, and a couple times he got physical several months ago and threw some kicks that didn't do him any favors. You kind of had, it was that old Mad TV skit, lowered expectations. And all of a sudden he's far exceeding them and the people are getting into it. And so it was a combination of, it was a really good debut and he's got a lot of talent and a lot of oomph to him, to his personality. And people were just surprised because it was better than they thought it was going to be, and better than it had a right to be, probably. So I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was great. You know, he's been such a fascinating character that the fans really started taking to. Remember, like, there was even like a pop when Punk said, "Send Hook."
Yeah.
Because there's been this mystery around him. He has a hairdo, like, it's not Flock of Seagulls. It's kind of like Flock of Seagulls go to Long Island now.
But get shit on by the seagull.
Yeah, but, you know, my 12-year-old daughter saw that and she was intrigued. And he carried himself well. He didn't crack. At no point did you see him smile and think, oh, this guy is playing a character. You said he started playing it up. It was like, remember when Sid came in as a heel in '89? He started doing things. And as soon as he started hearing any reaction from the fans, he would turn and look to where they were. And then they would react more. Hook, same thing.
He was controlling them.
Yeah.
You know, once that he saw that it was getting over and they were getting into it, then okay, I got these motherfuckers now.
I wouldn't have given Fuego del Sol as much as they did.
Yeah.
I may have kept it a little shorter. It's not the biggest complaint in the world, but showed a ton of potential, and he has a great look. And I will never discount a wrestling promoter's ability to fuck shit up. But AEW, and we've only seen him once, so let's not go crazy. This isn't Owen Hart, you know, when he debuted and he was the greatest wrestler anyone had ever seen before. We just saw this guy, but AEW has several people that within 5 years, they're all still going to be in their 20s. Hook, MJF, Dante Martin, Darby, I was supposed to say Darby Crash, Darby Allin.
Darby Crash.
He's based on Darby Crash. Apparently he's Darby Crash and Gigi Allen, and that's why he's Darby Allin.
Okay, I didn't know there was a Darby Crash.
Oh, yeah, Darby Crash, also known, maybe the funnier name is Bobby Pinn, but Darby Crash was the lead singer of the Germs, who are a legendary, infamous, influential punk band from LA. He famously, both him and Gigi Allen both overdosed on heroin. He overdosed on heroin. They think it may have been a suicide, thinking, you know, he wanted to do this. He was having a rough life. And unfortunately didn't get a lot of coverage because he decided to overdose on the same night that John Lennon was murdered.
Oh, God!
So it was, other than like Rodney Bingenheimer's show in LA, it wasn't even like a blip on the radar anywhere because it was John fucking Lennon.
See, now that's a cosmic rib. You couldn't have fucking done it 2 days beforehand or waited a week, huh?
But that was Darby Crash, and then Gigi Allen. You're very well aware of Gigi Allen. I know you're a big fan.
Well, I'm very well aware of Gigi
Hit songs like Suck My Ass, It Smells, and Bite It, You Scum.
And get your fucking car off my fence. That was a big hit he had on the country chart.
But my point was, Sammy Guevara, you could probably put on that list. AEW has a lot of intriguing, and some that have already shown a lot of real talent, and some that are still in the potential page. Powerhouse Hobbs.
The Gun Kid.
There's a lot of people.
The Young Gun.
There's a lot of people who are young, who even if you want to look at AEW 3 years from now, 5 years from now, they're still going to be in their 20s. They're developing better than NXT, if things work out, a better crew of stars for the next 5 years. Because they have all these people, and they're not killing them on TV. I mean, if they put Hook in there with Orange Cassidy, it's going to change the way we see things. But, I mean, it's pretty exciting, actually. I'm excited about the future when you see things like this.
Well, but also, will they have enough veteran and or mainstream talent to keep them from learning the bad habits that they will learn from some of the people on the roster that they may be tasked to work with? Therein lies the rub.
Well, it depends when you're talking about. You're talking about 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Who will be going to AEW? Will Seth Rollins be finally ready to accept his fate by then, or will he still be worshiping Vince McMahon? We don't know, but it's intriguing. Well, and look, they have, the other thing is, I said that my daughter watched. AEW's younger guys, appeal to wrestling fans, but they could appeal to girls. The Young Bucks don't appeal to girls.
Right.
Hook, even MJF, because girls like to hate him. I've seen this in my house with my kids and sometimes their friends watching if I have it on. Darby, Sammy, like these are people that actually appeal to girls and teenage girls even. So I think there's something there. There really is.
Now, wait a minute. You mean that the teenage girls aren't just all their hearts a flitter and a twitter for Grayson Waller or some of the NXT kids over there?
No, you see, Hook.
They think they can beat them up.
I actually said this the other day to someone in AEW. Hook, because I watched my daughter watch the match with me. You know, like the girls now, they used to be this stupid show called Kirby Buckets with this stupid fucking kid. I forget what it was on. It was like Disney or Nickelodeon.
Kirby Buckets?
Kirby Buckets. The head writer must have been a Minnesota Twins fan. Kirby Puckett, Hall of Fame player. So the kid became Kirby Buckets. He was a little dweeb on the show. I only know this because years later on Cobra Kai, which is a hit show and it's fantastic for anyone my age who grew up with the Karate Kid, this Kirby Buckets putz, he's now got a mohawk and he's Hawk. And he's a putz, he's Kirby Buckets, but the girls now like him because he's got kind of like that Hawk edge. That's the kind of shit with Hook. These girls see someone like that with that attitude, they like that. And again, I think there are wrestlers that appeal to women and wrestlers that appeal to girls. Like the Von Erichs appeal to girls. The Young Bucks don't appeal to girls. I hate to go back to them over and over. I'm using them as an example. It's not even to really hit on the Young Bucks being unappealing to women.
Oh, what about the Puddin' Gang? With old Muffin Top Taylor, I'm sure he's a sex symbol.
I don't know. You have a lot of young guys in their early 20s. There's something that could be done there. As long as none of them are fucking crazy sex pests or something. There's something to be done there with marketing them towards girls and women. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, it's as long as none of them are crazy sex pests.
You have to say that nowadays with wrestling. You never know. You get behind someone, you support them, then it turns out, oh my God, they've been... sharing fucking photos of women they defecate on with everyone they've ever met. You never know.
I think most of the guys in this business these days under the age of 25 would have to go into serious training to become sex pests, to know how.
Good.
But as far as, let it be known that Hook's debut and the young movement in AEW had Brian Last pounding on his desk here on this program today.
I was doing that for edits. Edit me here. Edit me here. Don't let anyone hear this. It's too complimentary. Edit this.
You were worked up, and you're giving the Sermon on the Mount there.
But you know what? You said something really important before, and I hadn't thought about it in that context. But we've seen it a few times lately, where you actually get excited to see someone for the first time. You don't get that, and we received a lot of emails. I think we may have talked about it on the show, but like NXT, even though you're seeing these people on TV. In a normal world, you'd be excited about seeing these people go up to the main roster and get an opportunity. That would always go away quickly. You'd realize what was going to happen. Hook's a guy we've been seeing for a while. You actually finally get to see it. It wasn't just me. If you saw Twitter, if you saw different places, people went nuts over this guy. And that's an excitement you don't see a lot nowadays.
Well, and again, it's a perfect storm. We use that analogy after the events of the last week. You got a kid that really is good. It attracted attention by the bizarre method of not really ever doing anything, to the point where he was getting more attention than anybody who did anything because people were joking about him never doing anything. And you have the fact that not a lot of people are impressed with debuts anymore because not a ton of them are impressive. And so they're like, yeah, give us more of this. And that's a good thing for him. And I hope he rides it to the moon. That's the other guy.
Man, they got to take care of Team Taz. Seriously, Powerhouse Hobbs. We've raved about him and everyone sees it. Taz is great on the mic, but he doesn't really do he's not really a manager. He never goes to ringside with any of his people. He didn't go to ringside with his son. Ricky Starks, I'm thinking he may be okay. I heard he's working on their YouTube shows, and they did something the other day when Punk ran in where you finally got Punk and him. I say finally like anyone else cares, but Punk went through every member of Team Taz other than Ricky Starks. They did this Leo Dante thing, which I'm not going to blame Leo or Dante for the fact that in 1 week, the guy signed the contract and then turned back babyface for no reason. But there's got to be something better to be done with Team Taz. And maybe it's an East Coast thing where I see it a little differently than others, but I think people would really get behind a good stable with these guys being the focus, and you add to that at different points.
I just wish we could. You can't develop Hobbs if you never see Hobbs. They start these projects where any number of people have potential and, okay, let's get it going, and then they just go away. Whether, Pillman or Hobbs or any of the other people we've talked about. Oh, geez. Yeah, that was good for a couple weeks. And it's you don't just let people drop in every so often if you're trying to get wrestlers over. So, I don't know. But anyway, it's not like that they had time to put a budding talent like Powerhouse Hobbs on this show, because the main event in any arena in the world, as long as they're not trying to sell tickets, Adam Cole and Wheeler Yuta of the Puddin' Gang. That was their TV main event on Rampage. And we're wondering about the ratings. There's no need to. Do you remember back in 1979, during the height of the disco craze, there was a song by a duo called Bell and James. Living it up, oh yeah, Friday night, living it up. They need to redo that. The AEW theme for Rampage is now giving it up, oh yeah, Friday nights, giving it up, we quit. They're not even trying. So this is where they put the main event of Adam Cole and Wheeler Yuta, like anybody wants to see, I don't know, fucking Frank Sinatra sing a duet with somebody's fucking niece at a fucking singing recital. And Hook's debut, which turned out to be good, but I don't know necessarily was a ratings grabber on its own. And this is where they've exiled FTR to die on Friday nights. So do you think they've got an hour of national cable television and they've just thrown up their hands and said, fuck it. We got more than a million people to watch CM Punk in August, and now we're just going to give them this. And they're getting 400,000 or 500,000. Your thoughts?
I think they've got a lot of YouTube shows and they're filming stuff constantly. Do something else with this Friday show. Adam Cole, you know what? I didn't really watch this match, so I can't review it. I gave up on the show. But
no, I turned it off. I was insulted.
But what I was going to say is, for whatever you want to say about the WWE system, and we didn't get to see him with a haircut on the main roster as a manager, but they did Adam Cole a lot better. This has been terrible. Yes. I don't want to see the guy. At this point, he is all entrance and hair. That's it. And I don't want to see it. And Wheeler Yuta's talented. We saw him in the Ring of Honor tournament last year, but he's with the fucking jerk-off gang. I'm an adult. That's it. That's the impasse. They're the jerk-off gang, and I'm an adult.
But let's talk for a second about, is there anybody now that they've demonstrated it on national television that cannot see what I'm talking about with the Lucha Brothers and why they're the last team that needs to be in the ring with FTR? Did this tell everybody, or are they still not trying to see it because Felix does a triple fucking gainer and a double Lindy off the fucking turnbuckle once in a while?
I'll say that I saw it more here than any other time previously, and I've always cut them a little more slack than you, obviously. But they're going to do their shit, and they're going to have their match no matter what. And FTR probably handled it as well as a serious wrestling tag team that doesn't specialize in gymnastics can. But I'm ready for FTR to move on to something else.
Well,
of all the feuds that do lots of rematches for, this may have not been the one.
The one. They never do rematches, except this. They're going to give it to us until FTR is dead and buried. That's probably why we're getting it. It's a hit. But I will enumerate some of the things for those, because I've heard people who say, hey, we like to wait to watch the show until we can put your review over the show, since the announcing is sometimes haphazard. We don't listen to it anyway. And that way we can see, and it's a learning type of experience for fans and wrestlers alike. I knew it was a bad sign when the corpse referee was in charge to begin with, because that just means that there's going to be chaos abundant. But within the first minute of this match, FTR was having to stand there, wave their arms in a stationary position. Once in a while, they turn a circle, wait on the guys to do their tumbling and their intricate little gymnastics routine, sometimes using FTR as vaulting blocks to jump off of to do offensive things to the other guy. Then Penthouse stopped everything in the match to do the goofy glove bit that he does in every single match, but this time there was a wrinkle. Instead of just making the opponent, the heel, look like an idiot by stop, the old put the hand up, like the old midget spot, Cowboy Lang and Little Tokyo, he goes to take the glove off and Cash Wheeler stops him and does something, so he comes out of it and tosses the glove to Cash, who catches it and stands there to get super kicked. So now they're doing 70s midget spots. Then after they go into a tag team spot where both teams are going to do a blind tag. FTR does a perfect legal blind tag. The Lucha Brothers do a sloppy, illegal backslap blind tag. And then the Lucha Brothers fucked up their own spot and couldn't get in the right fucking place. Then they started getting some heat on Felix, and Tully even interfered. Imagine that. So there's a heel manager actually doing heel things. That was lovely. But then before the first break in the match, they've gotten a little brief steam on Felix, and he makes his own comeback and beats up both guys, and they go to the break with both heels down, and the babyface in seeming in control, even though he was selling too, but he's got it well in hand. That's the exact opposite of the spot you go to the break on. They come back from the break, and they're getting heat on Felix again. I guess we missed all their heat in the break. But suddenly he makes his own comeback against both guys again. Then botches the spot to drop behind him and set up the hot tag. Then hits a lackluster hot tag because he'd already made his own comeback to begin with, which is an old trick of Jerry Lawler's in Memphis. When you got the heat on Lawler in a tag match, he would start his own comeback, and then he would tag his babyface partner in to continue the comeback. That's the way he'd say it. He'd say, I'll start the comeback a little bit. I'll tag you in and you continue it. Once you've started your own comeback, you've made your fucking comeback, pal.
Exactly.
Then Penthouse made a comeback and beat up both guys too. Then the Lucha Brothers went for their finish, the package pile driver double foot stomp to the ass off the top rope. And Tully comes up on the apron and distracts Felix. And Felix is face to face with him. And Tully goes to swing a punch, and Felix blocked it. And Felix is supposed to nail Tully, right? Well, he blocks the punch, and he snatches Tully, and then he turns around to start milking the people at his fist up. Should I? Well, there's certain spots where that is entirely apropos, especially if you're in the middle of the ring and all the attention is on you. But since everybody else was still in motion, or needed to be because they were setting up the next deal, and Felix was involved in the next spot, so everybody had to be motionless, waiting for Felix. And you can see Tully like 3 times say, swing it, or whatever he said. Hit me. And finally hits him, and it's a big pop. But the timing there, because they don't teach timing in the Lucha territories. The timing there, block it, bam, swing, nail, get the big pop, look at the people and fucking glorify yourself for a second, and then go into your next fucking position because the other guys are waiting on you. because they've got more gymnastics yet to do. So there's Tully going, hit me. Boom, he hit him. Got a big pop. They did some more gymnastics. Dax hit a nice slingshot power bomb and only got a 2 count. Then Cash goes to get the tag team title belt, and he and Felix have a tug of war with the belt. And Felix jerks it backwards and hits fucking Dax and knocks him goofy with the belt. And then they did some more shit, and then somehow somebody had shoveled or the belt had been dropped, and Felix goes up to the top and splashes Dax, but Dax holds the belt up, and Felix gets hit in the face with the belt. Cover, 2 count. God damn it. And then FTR hits their finish, not well, I don't know if he's in the right place, whatever, but on Felix, and Penthouse does a dive off the top and knocks one of FTR into the cover and breaks that up. So that's a 2 count. Then everything came to a fucking halt. And all 4 guys staggered up. And they were fighting like they were fatigued, and they had a 4-way 1-2 spot. Boom, 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 boom. And then they did more big moves. I'm wearing out here. I'm blowed up talking. And then Cash and Penthouse got lost for a minute because Penthouse couldn't just swing so he could duck or whatever. But then they got it back, and they rolled up. Cash and Penthouse were rolling each other up until Penthouse rolled him up into the spike pile driver double stomp, which they did. And then Felix, as he does in every other match that they ever have since the dawn of time, hits the move and then distracts from the 1-2-3 by doing a dive out of the ring onto the other heel that's always somehow in the right place. They did that in MLW one time, and the camera, the director completely missed the 1-2-3 because he was watching the guy dive out of the ring. Anyway, so FTR goes down to defeat again, and to make it worse, again they had the perfect finish to beat FTR and give them a bitch, and they made that a false finish, went another 3 or 4 minutes, did a bunch more shit that didn't make sense, and then beat them flat. Why couldn't that have been the finish? When fucking Felix jerks the belt away from Cash and hits Dax, and the referee was distracted and didn't see it. Cover, 1-2-3. They foiled the heels. They outsmarted them. They didn't just beat them like fucking powder. And they roll out of the ring and leave the ring and the heels to the ring to bitch. But they can't ever leave well enough alone or give FTR the merest of the most microscopic out for just getting beat over and over. Your thoughts?
I was surprised they had another rematch where once again FTR lost. I'm sick of seeing these two teams wrestle. Even the matches I really like with FTR and AEW, the finishes always seem to be screwy. Unnecessarily screwy. I am ready for FTR to do something else. And I also think they have to establish themselves as badasses. You know, like they'll do something where they attack someone and then they are shown to look like jokes for weeks. Like, seriously, get rid of Tully. Either get them with a manager or put them with another wrestler or have someone else and make them badasses and have them win matches. But otherwise, I don't know what they're doing. They're treading water.
Since they've been there, badasses, they get hurt. Cash got hurt for real. But anything they do to anybody, they never show the effects past limping out of the ring when the match is over with, and then everybody's fine. And I assume they're going to do something else. They're going to put somebody else over again. Because after this match, then the girls had a tag team match. Less said, the better. And then Tony Schiavone's in the back with Sting and Darby Allin. And he asked them a question. And before either babyface says a single solitary syllable, FTR and Tully come in from behind and kick the shit out of him. And actually they fought back, and then they got him down again, and they grabbed Sting and held him until he kicked Sting in the balls. So, again, standing alone, this might have been fine. But since it happens 2 to 5 times on every AEW television program, guy in the back being interviewed by Shivani. Shivani asks a question. Guy doesn't speak. His opponent comes in from mere feet away, off camera, kicks the shit out of him. It has no impact there. Tully is the one who gets the heat by kicking Sting in the balls. Does that mean that, unfortunately, now Tully at 70 is going to wrestle Sting at 62?
If it means we don't get Tully versus Arn, I'll take it.
But again, there's no impact to doing this because they do it all the time. This was more well done than most of them. But what the fuck? It's like an attention deficit disorder booking by fantasy fans on the internet. This is a thing they do in wrestling, so we must do this. So now FTR can get beat by a 150-pound man and his 62-year-old mentor. It's your show.
Well, that was AEW Rampage, another wonderful Friday night. And of course, when it comes to going on a rampage, some of you may want to go on a rampage with your phone and just take picture after picture of your family, your friends, your dog, your property, maybe candid photography. And of course, if you are on a rampage of photography terror, you need a place to send these photos. The best place for anyone to send their photos is Skylight Frames.
You remember when you used to have to develop these things, when you'd take pictures at Christmas time and you wouldn't see them until spring and the dogwoods were in bloom because you wouldn't remember to take the film in to get developed, and then you wouldn't remember to go pick it up, and it used to take sometimes a week anyway, and then they got it down to 24-hour photo developing, and that was just the greatest thing since sliced sourdough bread. But anyway, folks, now it's instantaneous, instant gratification, and not only can you take a picture anywhere of anything and anybody and see it at any time instantly, but now you can send them to people and let those people see them too, thanks to our friends at Skylight Frames. As Brian had meandered around and had small strokes in the transition there and tried to tell you, if you get a Skylight frame for anyone in your life, your even non-tech savvy people like mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, or your cousins, nephews, aunts and uncles, whatever the case may be, you get this Skylight frame and everybody in the family can get the personal Skylight email address to this frame and send the recipient photos to make them smile, photos to make them laugh, photos of the tree that they used to have in their last resting place. And it pops right up on the Skylight frame. It's a great gift for anybody at the holiday time. And if they ain't in the immediate vicinity of the family, my grammar is horrible today. If they're not in the immediate vicinity of the family, they feel like they're there because they're seeing everybody waving at them on their Skylight frame. They can swipe through the pictures with their finger. They can even give a finger to the person who sent the photo, or use your finger to tap the thing and thank the person, giving them the finger. Folks, if you don't love the Skylight frame, they give you a full refund. And I understand from Brian Last, they will actually not hold your pictures hostage or use them as blackmail to get you to rethink your refund request.
Not only will they not do that, it's completely unreasonable and unexpected why anyone would even bring that into the conversation. That is not a possibility. It's not an option. It won't be happening. You and your photos are safe.
Well, it's first thing I thought of, but you shot that down. But folks, I understand that when you give for example, your mother one of these for Christmas or their birthday, they will cry tears of joy. So if you'd like to make everybody in your family cry for Christmas this year, folks, Go to skylightframe.com. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com. Promo code DRIVE, and you're going to get $10 off your Skylight Frame. Skylightframe.com. Enter the code DRIVE. $10 off one of these state-of-the-art, gorgeous-looking black frames with a white mat with the screen that projects a slideshow of your life. What could be more fitting for the holiday season than to bring all your family members around, and if you don't want to tell them to kiss your ass, get them a Skylight Frame.